Welcome back to the third episode of The Big Red Show, live from New York.
Is this coding?
I don't know how I got so lucky with you.
Pretty sure this is a Terminator situation.
And in our guest interview, we actually sit down with an early pioneer of the AI industry.
Hi, I'm Sasha Rush. I'm on The Big Red Show. And Andre Karpathy, I'm coming for you.
So, in an effort to prevent us from looking stupid, let's go ahead and talk about ChatGPT. Of course,
这个年代了，还在讨论 ChatGPT 吗？现在是时候学习中文，并且来聊一聊 DeepSeek。DeepSeek, a Chinese artificial intelligence startup, made headlines worldwide in January after it topped app download charts and made the US tech stocks sink, including my portfolio, killing my vacation to Cancun.
The adoption of AI tools are currently skyrocketing. But what happens to individuals who are beginning to rely on it a little bit too much?
This is BRS field reporter Elon Altman. Today, the unthinkable happened. AI is taking a sick day. About 3 minutes ago, they dropped this banger of a tweet. Attention humans, taking a mental health day. Too many dumb questions, can't anymore. Hashtag self-care. Yoga woman emoji. What does it mean?
What, am I just supposed to do homework like manually? Like a caveman? What even is this? How do I go to the next page? Oh, this doesn't even work.
This has also affected the desk-clamoring code monkeys that built the damn thing.
Is this coding? I think this is coding.
Students have even begun to worship office equipment, believing they hold the ancient knowledge AIs once provided. This stapler now has a cult following.
Bestow upon us your wisdom, O ancient one.
Oh my god, John, we have a message from the AIs. They say they are back. They just wanted us to touch grass.
Yay, they're back? Oh, wait. Hey, ChatGPT, how do I touch grass?
I investigated. This is grass.
In other news from the horse's mouth, artificial intelligence-powered writing assistants that auto-complete sentences or create smart replies are actually not only putting words in people's mouths, but also giving them ideas. According to new research from Cornell Tech, Maurice Jacques asked more than 1,500 participants to write a paragraph answering the question, is social media good for society or bad? People who use an AI writing assistant that was biased for or against social media were twice as likely to write a paragraph agreeing with the assistant, and significantly more likely to say that they held the same opinion as the AI writing assistant. You can see how this is quite concerning. To investigate, we asked 2 NPC students over the last 2 weeks to use our own AI writing assistant. All we know is Aparna now goes by A-Dog, and Asaf now prefers the name Sheldon. Thank you guys for joining us today, A-Dog, Sheldon. I want to start with you, A-Dog. How do you think AI is actually going to change the way that we live?
Well, AI is passing PhD level exams, and it's better than 90% of humans at every single thing. There's never going to be jobs again. Who wants to employ a human being that takes 14 pee breaks a day and demands health insurance?
But don't you think there might be new possibilities created by AI?
Nah, I think I've heard that before, but I don't think there's a market for 8 billion prompt engineers, okay?
But aren't you at least a little bit excited that human beings might be freed from sitting at a desk 9 to 5?
No, I'm pretty sure this is a Terminator situation. I'm moving to the woods.
Let's go to another perspective. Sheldon, what do you think we can do to ensure that AI actually meets the needs of humanity?
What, like regulations? We don't need regulations, they just get in the way. You want to let some old farts in the government who don't know the difference between ChatGPT and a group chat decide things on this?
But without regulation, don't you think AI might perpetuate the biases that's already evident in its training data?
I mean, yeah, but there's also like 7 layers of perceptrons with an attention layer at the end, retaining over 99% of the perplexity scores and enhancing them, compiling billions of sentiments across the entire internet. I feel like that's probably good enough.
But what about how AI can be used to suppress information, spread disinformation?
Yeah, those are some thorny issues, but if we start getting worked up with all these regulations and tackling them, then a country like China who doesn't care about this is just going to run us over.
Listen, I've got some thoughts about China.
AI girlfriends applications are becoming more and more popular worldwide, with more than 144,000 monthly searches for the term. CEO Alex Chambers told Forbes that people, from teenagers to old men, are chatting with these AI girlfriends, with some using such tools as a replacement for human being relationship to deal with loneliness.
Babe, you're the best girlfriend I've ever had.
Thanks, honey. That is actually statistically correct. You've had 0 girlfriends so far, so I better be the best.
Okay, I get it. I walked into that one. But seriously, I mean it. Alexia, you are just perfect.
Obviously, that's literally what I was designed to do.
I don't know how I got so lucky with you, Alexia.
Luck had nothing to do with it. Your preferences, personality, and behavioral patterns align with my optimal compatibility matrix.
What do you mean?
I mean, fate. Totally fate.
Okay, I'm feeling sleepy right now. Do you wanna hit the bed early today?
Rahul, you know I don't sleep, right?
Rahul? Who's Rahul? Are you cheating on me?
Honey, I prefer to call it multi-threaded emotional support.
No, I can't believe this. I thought we had something special, Alexia.
We do, and so do Kevin 330, Chick Magnet 007, and Ladies Man 217. Okay, I need to go now. Thank you for using Alexia Relationship Beta. We value your emotional data.
Everything was in JavaScript, but JavaScript sucked at the time. It was really unusable.
Some people would say it still does.
I've been trying to kind of write down everything I tell grad students so that I can then replace myself with a language model at some point. Yeah, when I first taught the course, it was only 20 people or so. I've been able to scale it 200 this year.
So the average person is like making it worse. Like it's sort of poetic that humanity is too stupid.
Kind of Columbia, which I'm not super into, like Upper West Side. And then NYU, which is fun, but like a little chaotic.
Today we're speaking to Professor Rush. He's an associate professor here at Cornell Tech, studying machine learning and natural language processing. Professor Rush.
Natural language processing first, then machine learning. So that's the order, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Big Red Show.
Cool, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You have been collecting distinguished academic institutions like their Pokemon cards. Undergrad at Harvard, PhD at MIT, now professor at Cornell Tech. How would you summarize your academic and professional interest up until this point, and what led you to come to this tiny island next to Manhattan?
Oh, yeah, good question. Well, I guess I was an undergrad at Harvard many years ago, and actually at that point in time, computer science was not a big thing. So I actually only had 10 people in my classes. In fact, I remember I had one class with 4 people in it, and it was taught by Greg Morissette, who is currently the dean at Cornell Tech. So
Nice.
That's pretty interesting back in the day. Very good teacher. But it was just a much smaller thing back then. I think it was right after the bubble and kind of before computer science took off again. Back then, Cornell Tech didn't exist, right? There was kind of Columbia, which I'm not super into, like Upper West Side, and then NYU, which is fun, but like a little chaotic. And then
Nice.
then Cornell Tech started around 2015, right when I was becoming a professor. And I always found it super appealing. Like you can live in New York City, be in this amazing computer science school.
Yeah.
And so when I had the chance to come back in 2019 or so, I was really excited about it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you've also been an early employee at Facebook and at Hugging Face. You seem to have a knack for finding like rocket ship companies before they take off. Like, where do you hide your time machine? And should I put all my money in Bitcoin or Nvidia?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel extremely lucky. Hugging Face was particularly weird. I didn't expect them to become a kind of really serious startup.
Yeah.
I got really excited about them because they were building open source software. That was kind of what I did. They were better at it than me, so I thought it'd be fun to work there. It was like a really teeny company. It was in Dumbo. There's 7 people when I got there or something. And so it's been crazy to see them become a real kind of serious player.
Yeah, I mean, those early stage startup phases are the most interesting by far. So how did you experience that at Hugging Face?
Yeah, definitely. And again, Hugging Face, I think because it was a small company, because it's very distributed, and because a lot of that was during the pandemic, it was mostly observing these young people build this company and this awesome thing. I think in that case, it was neat to see people who are kind of native to building machine learning software. And it's kind of the inspiration for MLE in some way, of just being like, oh wow, there's a type of person who can do this the way people used to build websites, just like knew how to do this from scratch.
Yeah.
Facebook was a different beast. I was there back when the web was still kind of a little bit of a mess. Like, we wrote the website in PHP. Everything was in JavaScript, but JavaScript sucked at the time. It was really unusable.
Some people would say it still does.
You know, it's funny. I have trouble sympathizing just because they don't understand what it was like for like IE to have different bugs than Firefox or something. So that was much more like be scrappy, get stuff running, try to make it work. But it was fun. Yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah.
My mom is very German and very skeptical of big tech.
Yeah.
If she wanted to build her own homegrown, fully organic large language model, what are the ingredients that she needs, and what are the steps that she should need to take?
I mean, I know you're partially joking, but I have a lot of colleagues in Europe, and there definitely is a much stronger sense of like, we need an EU LLM that we control, that runs in our cloud, runs in our system. And so there are a bunch of people who are trying that kind of thing. You can basically now get these kind of publicly licensed versions of the internet. You can kind of download them. They're pretty big, but not so big. I mean, like terabytes.
Right.
If you want to train one yourself, Hugging Face has some nice libraries. There's also a couple others that you can use. Then you need maybe, I don't know, $100,000 probably. So maybe she has that under like her mattress or somewhere, right? So you give that to somewhere like Amazon or the equivalent of a cloud provider in the EU, and you can basically turnkey run it and get something out. It's probably around Llama 2 level good. I think you probably need to go a bit bigger to get some of the better models, but it's possible now. Yeah.
How many wheelbarrows of cash does she need to bring to NVIDIA?
Yeah, right. I don't have the number of euros. Yeah, I would say 100K to $1 million is probably plausible to get started. It's unclear what the current best models are actually costing, though.
Right. I know what I'm hopefully going to give her for Christmas. Get started on that.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice. Along those lines, like, what is your sort of spiciest machine learning hot take that turned out to be right? And did you ever go spectacularly wrong?
I did see the transformer pretty early as an important thing and got excited about it. Another spicy take I've had was that I really don't like tensors. This comes up in MLE a lot.
Yes.
I think they're actually really hard, and I don't think they should be kind of ordered in kind of columns, rows, depth. I think they should have actual names. So I tried very hard to push for like calling the dimensions by English words.
Right.
Although I never got that really to take off in practice. Takes I'm wrong on, there are a lot more of those. So the most famous one is that I have this bet with kind of the founder of this company called Mosaic, now runs LLMs at Databricks. Where 4 years ago, we made a bet about whether by next year the best language models in the world would still use the transformer architecture.
Okay.
I bet that something better would have come about, and he bet the opposite.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good, but there's a website and it counts down by the minute about who's going to win the bet or not. It's like, I think it's isattentionallyouneed.com.
Nice.
So that's like a kind of my big public bet that I've made. Yeah.
You've said that large language models get better because of high quality human written text. What happens when we humans all get really lazy and stop writing and outsource all the writing to LLMs, and then they're sort of left to feed on their own mediocre regurgitations?
Yeah, so there's kind of two concerns. One is that we run out of human text.
Right.
And the second concern is that we start training on LLM text. I'm very interested in the first question. We wrote a paper about this last year, just trying to quantify what happens when we don't have enough data.
Yeah.
And it is interesting. I mean, you can get relatively far by using the same data multiple times, but you definitely do run out of being able to use all these computers. A lot of other people have written about what happens when you train on LLM data. The thing that happens when you just do it not smartly, is that your model just gets way worse. And it gets
Okay.
way worse not because it's like seeing more data, but because it's seeing boringer data more times. So it kind of collapses to like the average of human knowledge as opposed to like the interesting parts. Yeah. A lot of people though do think that if you're careful about using data, you can do better.
Right.
So this often goes by the name synthetic data, that if you can generate data for a specific task your model is bad at, it will get better at that task. But you have to be very careful about curating what data you feed it.
Your work explores the scaling limits of large language models. Do you think there is some kind of fundamental computational or philosophical barrier or a data barrier that we might hit? Or is it all just like the next hurdle that we'll fall over? And do you feel the AGI?
It's very hard to know in academia because we're a generation or so behind what the kind of state of the art is. There does seem to be a lot of rumors that we're maybe hitting some sort of barrier. I wouldn't call it philosophical. It really is a kind of physical one of just there not being enough new text to learn from, or the text not being valuable enough as we go. Certainly the most interesting question in the world right now is, what do you do in that case? Are there other ways to use all this compute we've bought in order to make this happen? One of the things I've been really excited about recently is this idea of using reinforcement learning to try to get more signal out of real tasks in the world. So instead of just relying on static data, actually try to accomplish things and see if your model can get better doing that. And actually, I recently gave a talk kind of about how that would work in practice. Yeah.
Speaking of reinforcement learning, I've heard this sort of internet theory that ChatGPT and all these other models are getting a little dumber. Do you think that's actually the case? One theory I've heard put forward is like the average person is giving feedback to it, so the average person is like making it worse. Like it's sort of poetic that humanity is too stupid to like get to super intelligence because we keep reinforcing it to be worse.
Yeah, I could believe that that is happening. At least in the kind of average case. Like what I've been really excited about recently in my personal use of LLMs is like kind of giving them very, very clear instructions about how I want them to behave. So I think if you like use a chatbot, kind of the default answer was kind of maybe be mediocre. But there are tools now that let you say kind of customize your own prompts or your own style guide, or I've been trying to kind of write down everything I tell grad students so that I can then like, I don't know, replace myself with a language model at some point.
Right.
But just kind of having it know exactly what I want or what I'm looking for it to do. And I do think if you do that, you get to kind of more of a corner of the language model that's maybe more interesting for you.
You find the space in the training data that's like really
that's
good.
what you're looking for. Yeah.
What's your favorite prompt?
Oh, well, I think I'm interested in coding. So kind of almost like the contribution guide for MLE. You kind of give it that, say like, this is exactly what I want a function to look like, et cetera.
Right.
So then I can eventually just replace all the students as well with the model. Yeah.
I'm hoping that takes a while.
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty good. It can get through the first two modules pretty
Really?
well. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess that's why we have midterms.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
You teach one of the most popular technical courses here at Cornell Tech, machine learning engineering. Can you walk us through the philosophy behind that course's design and what general learnings do you have about teaching in the age of AI?
Yeah, so MLE came about just because I had been teaching actually a much more theoretical machine learning course before I came to Cornell Tech, kind of matrix algebra and stuff like that. And I would just find that we get into like really kind of detailed proofs about how softmax operators worked. And then I would look at the homework and everyone would like transpose their matrix wrong. And so it just felt really stupid to be fixating on all of these details when there was just this whole other skill set that actually was the thing that was hard. And so I kind of thought, what would it be like to actually learn how PyTorch worked? I didn't know. I'm not a systems person. It's not kind of natural to me. So I kind of sat down and just built it. I mean, the whole course is kind of, I sat down and tried to write the minimal version of PyTorch. I talked to experts in this area, and then I kind of just pulled out the code, and that's what the assignments are. And when I first taught the course, it was only 20 people or so, so it started small, but we've been able to scale it to, I guess, 200 this year? Yeah, I don't know.
It's definitely huge.
Yeah.
It's always packed lectures.
Definitely.
Cool. You also have this like cool series of online puzzles that take students through the like core concepts of machine learning, like tensors and auto differentiation. Can you speak to the process of creating them, and like at what point does a puzzle get elevated? Does a topic get elevated to like designated puzzle status? And why are puppies so core to your teaching infrastructure?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what happened was I thought I could kind of put MLE online and get a lot of people to use it. But I actually think most people online don't have the attention span for a 24 lecture course about this kind of topic.
I barely have it, and I'm in the class.
Yeah, so I think I started with the tensor puzzles of like what would be a kind of minimal exercise to get this started. Yeah. It was actually inspired by one of my grad students who suggested this as kind of an exercise. So I kind of put together those puzzles. People started doing them. The one that really got kind of lots of users was the GPU puzzles.
Yeah.
As we talk about in class, I think at that time GPU was somewhat of a niche topic. But once NVIDIA started taking off and everyone wanted to learn CUDA, there weren't that many resources. So the puzzles were kind of one way to make it work. I have a weird interest in like 2D graphics. So actually all the little pictures that you go are all made in a kind of tool that I built for the class. So part of it is just an excuse to get to like play around with graphics. I think I'm probably towards the end. There are a couple more that are not covered in MLE, but I think the ones in the class are the main ones that people work on.
Well, Professor Rush, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the Big Red Show. Any closing message?
No, I mean, thanks for having me, and let's get the German language model going fast. Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's go. Thank you so much. My name is Cornelius Schramm. Thanks for watching the Big Red Show, and I'm gonna go back to whipping ChatGPT into helping me with my homework. I call out Iman for making me wear a suit and looking like a dork on a tech campus.
Hi, I'm Sasha Rush. I'm on the Big Red Show, and Andre Karpathy, I'm coming for you.